Hey guys, it's Jason with the Board Game Mechanics, and today we're going to take a look at a new card game version of a game that's a board game. But this game doesn't really feel like a card game, but that's beside the point. But this game is called Arkwright, the card game. Arkwright the Card Game is a game for 1 to 4 players from Game Brewer, and it says it plays in about 100 minutes. I've only played it at 2, and that's probably correct. We played it maybe an hour and a half, so that's 90 minutes, so close to that. And what this game is it's a smaller, more streamlined, simplified version of the big brother, Arkwright, or the granddaddy, whatever you want to call it. And in this one, you're still opening factories for food, utensils, clothing, and lamps, but you're going to be doing that through some interesting card play instead of all of the board play that's in the original one. Although this one does have a player board and it has a central board, but it does have some cards. So yeah, it's hard to explain the card game part of this, but let's just stop talking about it. Let's go down to the table and see how different this is from the big dog. All right, so here's a game of Arkwright the Card Game, all set up for 2 players. I'm not going to go over setup a ton. I'll just say in a 2-player game, it's going to look similar to most other player counts. There's going to be some different cards up here. You're not going to have any dummy cubes here. And there are going to be more people fighting over different types of resources. And maybe some people will start out with a leg up on the development. But in a 2-player, you're going to get a development board, put a cube in the starting spaces. Each player is going to have 2 factories that are going to start with operation. We're each going to have an individual development card. And in this case, I have one that lets me pay 4 workers $2 less, and they have one that's forever. They don't have to pay 2 factories. You're going to put your ships here, the 2 ship side up. There's also a 1 ship side. We'll get into that in a minute. You're going to have your extra cards and your extra factories at your ready because you're going to be using those later. And you're going to set demand where all the black dots are on this board, and the round marker, decade, and wages. And each player is going to start with 50 bucks. There's way more to set up, but it's laid out pretty easily in the rule book, so I'm not going to go into it too much. So let's just go ahead and start playing. So on your turn, you can take 1 of 5 actions, or 1 of 7 actions if you're playing the expert, which are marked by the little black symbols there. I'm not playing the expert because there's enough going on in the base game that I'm just going to show you that. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to take 1 of those actions, then you're going to adjust your pricing and, shoot, I can't remember the name of the word, demand for your goods, and then you're going to sell your goods in a separate phase. And you're also going to do 1 development on your board or take a development card. So the actions that you can take, you can build a new factory. So I could put a new factory out here. Not with employees, only your starting factories get employees, but I'll put the office in that you can adjust for money or influence. And you can add new employees to your factories. That's where these cards come in. So there are some additional cards. There's 2 cards for each factory. So they're 2-sided based on the decade that you're playing, and you can add new cards. You can automate, so you could turn some of these cards up to the other side, so there's 1 less worker, maybe 2 less workers, and there's going to be some factories that are cheaper, or machines that are cheaper. You can add distribution or quality, which basically you're going to tuck that in. It's going to either give you more money or more, can't remember what that is, favor, demand. I don't remember what that term is. I'm drawing a blank, I'm sorry. But more influence, more reputation of your business. Or you can buy stocks. So you're going to buy stocks, you can take out loans if you want, and then you can flip your boat back from the 1 side or non-existent to the 2 side. All right, so let's go ahead and get going. So this purple player is first player. What I want to do is I want to automate. So for the first action, I want to automate. So I'm going to take this card out. It's on the decade 1 side, so all I'm allowed to do is turn it, and you can see I'm going from 3 workers to 2 workers and a machine. And I have 2 points of automation that I can do, so I'm also going to go ahead and automate this guy. So he is 2 workers, but I can flip him. He'll be 1 worker and a machine now. So we will tuck that in there. So now my machines just got cheaper. Next thing I want to do is I'm going to adjust my demand and pricing for my goods, because food is going to produce this round and I'm the only person that has a food. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust that. I want to make a ton of money. I can produce 3. So let's go ahead and we'll just set this to 3. That's fine. All right, so I'm ready to go there. And now I can do a development. I'm actually going to develop up my shipping. So that's going to mean I can, instead of shipping 2 goods, I can ship 3 goods on one boat. All right, so now it's the other player's turn. They're going to do the same kind of thing, but I think I'm going to have them do something different. I'm going to have them, let's just have them build a factory so you can see that. I'm not going to kind of go through the whole game, but I just want you to be able to see a few aspects of it. So they're going to build, they don't want to jump in on food, so they think they're going to build, let's build lighting. So they're going to build lamps. Now when you build a new factory, it doesn't come with workers, but you do get to put the office card in it, if I can find it. The office card, which you can rotate to either money or demand. So I will, and it comes out with money. So I'll tuck that in there like that. They build a new factory. Now, whenever you build a new factory, demand goes down. You can see it on the card. So demand goes down to green. So they built, all of the factories go down 1, because there's more factories in the world producing. And wages go up because there's more people trying to get hired. That's their turn. Next thing they're going to do, they would adjust their pricing, but they're not producing this round, so we're not going to bother with that. So they, I think they're just going to take, they're going to take this card, because this card's really good. That's what I have. And they're going to put it next to this guy, which I don't know if I can. It's kind of tight here, but they'll put it next to here. We'll just remember that now all these, up to 4 of these workers cost 1 less. And they don't get adjusted board because of that, because they took a card instead. And that is the end of phase 1. Now we're going to go into phase 2, where we're going to be producing goods. So only food factories are going to produce. So I'm the only one producing. So when you produce, you're going to look at a couple things. You have to adjust your favor or quality or production, whatever, to the proper amount that you have showing here. So I'm at 3, so I'll move this up to 3. Whenever you cross one of these thresholds, you're also going to move the demand marker up 1. Now I'm going to be able to sell. So I'm producing 3 goods. You can see 3 big pieces of bread. So I'm producing 3 bread. I can sell 3 minus the demand marker, so I can sell 3, and I'm going to be selling them for 1 plus 4, $5. So I'll get $15. So I'm now at 65. Then what you have to do is we have to pay our workers and our machines. So the base price to run this factory is $8. Each of my workers are 3, so 8, 11, 14, 17, $18. So I actually lost $3 on this deal, but that's fine. And then what we're going to do is we're going to determine if we sold more than 2 goods, which I did, so that'll make my stock price go up. And if I sold the most goods, which means my cube is the highest on the track, I would get an extra one, but I'm not. I'm tied with the dummy player, so I don't get an extra one. And that is how you produce and sell goods. And then when you're done with that, you just leave that there, and your cube's going to get adjusted based on what happens in the next production. So that was the end of round 1. Round 2, you go here. First player marker was switch. So I'll just go ahead and put this over there so you can see it a little bit. And then we're going to do it all again. It's going to play like this over 3 decades. At the end of each round and each decade, there's going to be a couple different things that happen. So any of your development cards that have a symbol that show to tap it, you would get an untap. You would send this marker back to the beginning. You would, what else are we going to do? And then you would decide whoever has the lowest share price would then get to determine who goes first. They can be first, they can give it to somebody else, so on and so forth. That's it. So we're going to keep doing that through 3 decades. And let me tell you about in-game scoring. I'm not going to play through a bunch of this because this game is a beast. But in-game scoring, what you're going to do is, if you took out any loans, so say I took out, we'll just go ahead and dummy this up here. So I did 2 shippings, and I'll say I took out 2 loans, and my stock value is at 26, and this would have been at 18, all right, or 19. Now, at the end of the game, what you're going to do is you're going to be able to spend any leftover money that you have. So I have $47 to buy stocks. My stocks are 19, so I could buy 2 of them for 38. And and that will leave me $9. So I get 2 more stocks. If you had any goods in storage, you could sell them. I don't have any. Then what you're going to do, for every loan you took out, you have to pay a stock. So 1, 2 stocks. And then for every time you did a shipping that's above a pound symbol, you have to go down in money. So I'll do that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to multiply your stocks by your price, and whoever has the most points is the winner. That's how you play Arkwright the card game. A brief overview. I didn't go into everything because there's a whole lot of stuff that's going on here. But that's the gist. So let's go to the top. See what we think about it. All right, well, that was Arkwright the card game. So you can see this game does have cards. And you can also see it has demand, and it feels like Arkwright. So hence the Arkwright the card game name. It's apt. It's correct. It makes sense. But all that being said, this really doesn't feel like a card game. So yes, this is a card game version of Arkwright, but what that really means is it's streamlined, it's simpler, it's quicker, and it has cards in it. So yes, I'm playing some cards under my factories or next to my factories. But when I think of card games, I'm thinking of, I have a hand of cards. I'm going to play some cards. I'm going to take some tricks. I'm going to play these cards down in front of me and make a tableau. Not really what we're doing in this one. So yes, it's a card game. And I said the name was apt earlier, but I probably wouldn't have called it that, but not my game. So all that being said, this is a simplified version of Arkwright. Plays in probably a quarter of the time. I've only ever played a couple rounds of actual Arkwright, and it took a really long time for those 2 rounds. So I don't know how this honestly compares to all of that. So I'm just going to judge this game based on what it is. So you saw in the overview kind of what this game does. You're building up factories, you're upgrading your factories, you're hiring employees, you're automating some employees. You may have to you have to buy stocks because that's how you win. You may have to take out a loan, you're going to be shipping some goods off. I didn't show all of the stuff that can go on in this game because there's just so much. It's so rich and deep, even for this being a littler version or a more compact version of the big game. It's still pretty deep and heavy. So if you're going to think this is a lighter version of Arkwright, yes, maybe, but barely. So what do I think of this game? First off, this is a prototype, so everything you saw here may not look like it looks in the final. I don't know how the final boards are going to look, how the pieces are going to look, but what I have here has inset player boards, so I can actually put the cube in the spot and move it around. I don't have to worry about it moving if I bought my player board, which is pretty cool. So yeah, all that could be different later. The artwork, it's passable. I mean, I don't really care about artwork. It's subjective, but let me show you some of these cards here. So this is the first player marker, which I didn't really talk about a ton, but it just kind of looks like this. It's fine. This art serves the purpose of the game. There's even a female character. Let me find her a second. This lady looks like a seamstress, which is pretty cool. So art's fine. The game bits are just mostly cubes and little chits that are marking shipping and loans. The box cover, fine. I mean, it's about building factories, so it looks dirty. It makes sense to me with the theme. Everything is building factories. You're going to pollute. It's going to be disgusting. The Industrial Revolution was pretty dirty, so I think that makes sense with what we got going on. So again, without being able to compare it to the Big Brother, I really like what this game does. It gives me kind of a feel of a heavy economic stock game, but in a much simpler, I would say smaller, but it still takes up a lot of room in the table, as you can see, package, and I like it. I wouldn't call it a card game, but it does have cards, so that's their deal, I guess. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a BGM accepted seal. I will give this a 7 out of 10 on BGG, which is a 3.5 out of 5 wrenches. On our arbitrary wrench scale, that means absolutely nothing, but we like to give it to games that we enjoy, and we enjoy this one. So if you're a fan of Arkwright and you want maybe one that you could bust out a little more often because it's not going to take 4 or 5 hours, this is probably for you. If you're not a fan of Arkwright, but you like interesting, thinky economic games with a lot of math, this is probably one for you. If you just like heavy games and you want to try Arkwright, but you don't want to spend the 4 hours, this is one you should check out because you can get the same kind of feeling. Yes, it's not as good, not the same kind of feeling. I get that, but it'll still give you some of the same stuff that Arkwright has going on. in a quicker time. So that was Arkwright the card game from Game Brewer. I am Jason with the Board Game Mechanics, and as always, keep gaming.